Hi, welcome to this week's wallflower practice. My name is Nicholas. Today we'll be working mostly with front body stretches. I'd recommend having a few props nearby if you have a bolster, if not maybe a thick pillow or cushion, anything for the knees for a little extra padding, if you have a rolled up blanket, if you have a soft block. And today I'll invite you to get started, maybe in a seated meditation. We'll take about a minute just to settle in. If you'd rather get started on the back or come into legs up the wall pose, then go for it. Choose any quiet, symmetrical shape. If you are taking a seat, you might use the wall for a little extra back support. Give yourself a moment to settle in. Notice the parts of the body that are touching the floor and gently ground them down. Breathing that length into the spine, finding a little softness for the shoulders, the shrug muscles, a little extra length through the back line of the neck. And if it's okay to close down the eyes, go for it. Otherwise, gaze softly somewhere unmoving. Start to notice your breath and gently invite your inhales and exhales to start to lengthen here. As the breath deepens, notice what effect this has on the rest of the body. And take that scan from the feet all the way up to the head and just check in. And as you feel ready to, gently flutter the eyes open, wiggle the fingers and the toes. If anything needs a little shakeout, go for it. If you need to take a stretch here, go for it. Always with the yin practice, I like to be comfortable. So if you like to wear socks, if you like to add an extra layer, anything environmental as well. If you like to have some music on, maybe the sun's really bright, you want to have your windows open, go for it. Take a moment to set up your environment, and then when you feel ready, we'll start off in standing for today. So find the wall space that you'll be working with, and then belly towards the wall, cactus the arms, so elbows roughly in line with the shoulders. And we'll start off by bringing the left fingertips onto the wall, elbow pointing behind you, and then start to press down through the left hand and start to turn your chest open towards the left, and you can adjust the feet here. Maybe your toes are pointing now towards the left as well. And check in to see what's happening with the shoulder. We're looking for more of a stretch through that right side of the chest. So if you end up feeling this more in the shoulder, if it feels like pinching, anything like that, you might back out. And an alternative for this shape will be to do the same chest stretch, but with the arm extended. So you'll have to make sure you have a clear space where you are. And then same action here. So for some people, extended arm might feel better. It tends to target slightly differently. So you might even experiment with both and see which feels best. And once you settle in, if there's anything else you need to adjust, go for it. Notice where your head is relative to the spine. See if you can keep it stacked on top. coming out as you feel ready. And cactus the arms, maybe give the shoulders a little wiggle here. You can also release them down for a few moments. Maybe you want a slightly different stretch. You could interlace hands behind the back. When you do feel ready to set up the second side, cactus the arms once again. And then this time, right fingertips find the wall, right elbow behind you, and start to turn the chest open towards the right. Just notice this side may feel completely different to the first side, so if you'd like to play with the extended arm expression, you can. You could also start off maybe a slightly shallower expression and then go deeper as you feel ready to. As you do feel ready to come out, gently making your way back to center. And then take a moment, see what feels best as a release for the arms, maybe circling the shoulders a few times, a little shake out. When you're ready, make your way back down onto your mat. We'll set up a puppy dog pose up against the wall. So start off by finding some padding for your knees. Use a blanket and then bring your knees as close as you can to the wall and then hips down towards the heels like a kneeling position. You can also add something between hips and heels. Walking the hands up the wall, letting the chest dip in towards the wall. Just check in straight away to see what this feels like for the shoulder girdles, the shoulder blades. See if there is a different expression you like to explore with the arms, so the arms can be parallel and extended. You could bring the palms together. You could also bend the elbows if that feels okay, maybe thumbs to the back of the head or fingers towards the back of the neck. Always looking for that pain-free expression. So if you do start to feel pinching or anything electrical, if the arms start to go a little fuzzy, anything like that, look out for it and gently back out till you can no longer feel it. And once you do feel ready to exit, re-extend the arms here. Gently press yourself up off the wall. The seated cow-cow for a few rounds might feel good. So if you want, you can bring hands into the lap and then inhale to puff the chest up, lift the gaze, and then exhale to gently round in. You might do this a few times. If you'd rather sit upright with a neutral spine, then go for that. And the next shape we'll set up is a variation of camel. So if you happen to have a couple hard blocks nearby, you might choose to use those. I'm going to use a bolster, so you can lie a bolster kind of behind the feet along the mat and then use the hands on it for support. I have the fingers pointing towards myself. Some of you might prefer hands out to the side or behind. When you're ready, press the hands into your bolster or your prop. Start to lift the pelvis up. You might choose chin in towards the chest or neutral neck. You might lift the gaze up towards the ceiling as long as that feels okay for the neck. And when you're ready to come out, just find stillness for a few breaths. Let the spine settle here. And then the next shape we'll set up is ninja pose. So when you're ready, you can come on out. We'll still use props or support for the knees. I'm going to choose to use a soft block for this one. I find sometimes the knees need a little more support in the shape. I start from a tabletop position pretty close to the wall. And then when you feel ready, you can step your left foot forward and then try to bring your right knee as close as you can to where the wall and the floor meet behind you. Make sure the knee is adequately supported. And then the first option is to stay in somewhat of a fold. Maybe your hands are to props, or maybe you're making fists to the floor. The higher up you come with the torso, the more intensity it might add to the stress you're feeling through that right quad. So you may end with hands somewhere on that left thigh. Check in to make sure that the core, the lower back all feel supported here. If you like to add on, you might explore reaching the arms up, maybe leaning the head or the arms onto the wall behind you. This is a little bit of back bend, so just make sure that whatever you're feeling through the spine especially, you're okay with. We'll keep the shape of the lower body a little while longer, but check in if you need to exit altogether, then go for it. We'll sit up for a twist here. So left hand, or right hand, sorry, finds the left knee. Left hand can find the left hip, or you maybe a half bind, reach that left hand towards the right hip behind you. Keep breathing that length from the right knee to the crown of the head. Keep breathing that space across the chest. And then coming out, we'll take a few breaths, make your way out the way you came in. I like to pause in a quiet shape for a few breaths here, so I'm going to choose child's pose. Maybe you'd like to kneel or find a seat instead. If there's something else altogether, go for it. If your body's asking for a little shakeout, go for it. And when you're ready, we'll set up the second side. So getting in the same way, setting the knee onto whatever prop you're using, setting that right foot to the floor. And this side may feel different, so have your props nearby. Maybe you spend a little more time in the fold version of this. And take it slow, always staying within the edge of sensation. And then as you're ready, gently coming back out of the pose, making your way to a seat. You might choose to sit up on your prop. Extend the legs out in front, gentle windshield wiper side to side, knees bent or extended, see what feels best. Our next pose is staff pose, and we'll use the wall for support here. So if you need more height under the hips, if it feels like the upper back is rounding or it feels really effortful to hold yourself up, then add a little more height. And then breathe into that length from the heels to the tailbone, from the tailbone to the crown of the head. And then from here, as you're ready, releasing, we'll make our way onto the back. Setting up for a twist here, so you may choose to come into your legs up pose and then lower into the twist. I'm going to start off straight from the twist. So bring that right hip onto the block, right leg extended towards the right, left knee bent like a figure four shape with the legs. And then lie your torso down, see if you can have both shoulders grounded. And you can always walk the torso a little further towards your right here. It might add sensation. You might be feeling this more through the hip flexor, maybe a little more through the outer leg, through the IT band. Some of you may be feeling it a little more in the side body and sideways. You can always adjust a little bit where the head is turned, what the arms are doing. Maybe you could use them for a little more support here. Then keeping yourself propped up, we'll head towards our legs up pose. So you can start to extend the legs and straight up towards the ceiling. And we'll pause here for a few breaths before we set up for the second side. The knees can always be bent as deeply as you need here for support. And then setting the second side up, you can either lower the legs down to the left, or if you prefer to come down and set yourself like that, then go for it. This time the right knee bends, right foot stepping to the floor in front of the left knee, wherever feels best. And again, the side may feel a little different, so take your time getting set up. And then exiting this side as well. When you're ready, we'll head towards legs up pose, but see if there's any stretch that you need to take along the way. I like to add a bolster in as well, so I normally bend the knees in, bolster to the feet, press them up towards the ceiling. I find just the little extra weight that the bolster has can feel quite grounding. If this works for you, keep it. If you happen to have a sandbag or something like that and you like to use that, then go for it. Find the most comfortable arm expression here. So maybe they're somewhere by the sides, overhead, on the body. Maybe you like to add support for the head as well. You can use a rolled up blanket. And settle yourself in, start to find your stillness, quiet down. And gently start to bring your attention back to the space and give the head a gentle rock side to side. Wiggle fingers and toes. As you feel ready, extend the arms up overhead. Find a full body stretch. Point or flex the feet. Reach through the fingertips. Maybe a wiggle of the shoulders. If you're using a prop on the feet, then bend the knees in. Move the prop out of the way. We'll set for our happy baby. So if you like to remove support from under the hips for this, go for it as well. Reaching between the knees, catching feet, ankles, or shins. Not so much pulling, using the weight of the arms to guide the knees gently towards the ribs. But check in with the low back as well. Make sure that that feels supported. You can always point the feet a little more towards the wall if that feels better. As you feel ready, releasing and rolling down to one side, maybe a few breaths there. Coming up to find a comfortable seated position, setting yourself up, any props that you need. Hands can find the knees or wherever feels most comfortable. And gently lengthen the spine and close down the eyes. And collecting the hands at the heart, bowing the chin in towards the chest. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I'll see you next Thursday for another Wallflowers session.